Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to an intense video. It's going to be intense and chaotic. Hi guys, today we'll be reacting to my physical TBR video that I did at the beginning of the year. I didn't realise when I was creating that video that I would react to it at the end of the year, but it seems quite fitting and I want to see where my physical TBR is currently at compared to where it was at the beginning of the year, because a lot has happened during this year. I filmed this video 8 months ago, so I think about March time I filmed it. So kind of at the beginning of the year, not really, but still I think my TBR is going to be a lot heftier now than it was back then. So I think it's just, let's go into it. Let's record my screen, let's get started, and I'm going to tell you if the book that's in that video has been read, if it's still unread, or if it's been unhauled, and then I'm going to tell you all the books that are currently on my TBR, like a compare and contrast sort of thing. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Just gonna put me a headphone in so I can hear what I'm saying. Okay, let's watch the video. My entire physical TBR as of March 9th, 2021. Oh, it's my old intro! Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. I hope you're all doing well. Today we are here with my physical TBR, which basically means every single book I own I have not read yet. Yay. I haven't got that many, I promise. I only have around 40. 40 I think it's pretty decent, seeing as I own over 100, so ratio-wise, I own more books I have read to books I have not read. I think that still holds true. I still do think I own more books that I've read rather than books that I've not read, but still 40 books on my TBR. I have recently done a major unhaul video. I'll leave that video up above and down below if you're interested in watching it, where I got rid of 40 books. So imagine if I just got rid of every single book that's in this video. But nevertheless, I wanted to do this video to try and keep myself accountable of books that I physically own I have not read yet, and hopefully by the end of the year I can try and get that number down a bit. I know we're already in March, but better late than never. I don't know where to start. Let's just start. The first
I'm scared.
book I have unread is Scar by Alice Broadway. I still have that and it's still unread. I have full intention of rereading the first two books because it is the last book in a trilogy and I cannot remember what happened in the first two books. In order for me to read the third book, I will need to reread the first two. It is a YA fantasy series, which is why I always put it off. But I did enjoy the first two books. I just never prioritize this book. I should, but yeah, I just haven't. The next book I have physically unread in my ownership is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I still haven't read, but it's going to be on my 2022 reading list. I will have that video coming up in a week or so be on the lookout for that, but that will be on my 2022 reading list, and I am going to read it next year. Definitely need to get to this one soon. This book I also need to get to ASAP, hopefully this year. The next book is By the Crawl Dancing by Delia. I have unhauled this book. It's actually my auntie's copy, so I've given it back to her. I'm not going to ever read that book. I don't care for it. It's historical fiction, murder mystery. Those two really aren't my typical genres, and I can't bother to spend time on a book that I probably know that I'm not going to enjoy, so it's unhauled, aka it's going back to my auntie. Next book I have is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I brought this in one of my... That book has been unhauled. I brought it when I thought I was interested in reading it, when it first kind of came up on BookTube, on the BookTube scene, and then the more and more I left it, the more I didn't want to read it, because the more I heard 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews, and when it's not my typical genre and it's getting lower reviews anyway, it's just a no-go for me. I don't care for it. It's gone in the unhaul pile, and it's actually in a box to zip it as we speak. So movie videos. There we go. Yeah, I keep putting it off, as I do with every single book I own. I just want to buy more books that are more recent, and I just forget about the ones that have been released for a while. Everyone on BookTube. The next one we have is another non-fiction, and that is How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. I read her short philosophy handbook. No, I'm not doing very well. I haven't read How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. I really want to read it. It'll probably be on my 2022 reading list because it's about time I read it. I read Philosophy by Elizabeth Day and really enjoyed it. It's all about how to turn your failures in life into successes and how to view life differently and not kind of see it as a dampener and a failure when you can turn those things into successes. And I read the small handbook that was based off the main book, so I was like, oh my god, I love that book so much, I need to read the physical, like the main book of it, and I have yet to do it. In January, I really enjoyed it, so I picked this one up to hopefully read soon. The next 3 books are part of the same series that I actually most likely will unhaul, and that is The Mortal Instrument. I've unhauled those. Those went a long time ago. I have no interest in reading the rest of any of Cassandra Clare's books. I'm just not a fantasy reader, so why would I put myself through that and spend time reading books I know I'm not going to enjoy just because they're big on BookTube? No thank you. Next we have a pile of books that are currently on my March TBR that I have not read, but I'm hoping by the end of the month I will have read them because they are on my March TBR. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up above and down below for you guys. Fingers crossed, guys.
We have a book I'll hopefully get to this month, which is Illuminate by Amy.
That book has also been unhauled.
But we have Holly Jackson.
Ha! Finally one I've read! Yes! I've read Good Girl Bad Blood and I've read the entire trilogy this year, with the last one coming out this year. Binged the entire trilogy, absolutely loved it. One of my favourite kind of trilogies of all time, I guess, because I do really enjoy that series. And yay! I've read a book that was on my Physical TBR back in March.
Good Girl Bad Blood, which is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I have an absolutely
that I have read and unhauled.
Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. And we have This Is My America.
That I've read and I've kept. I really enjoyed that book.
By Kim Johnson. But we have 10 Blind Dates by Ashley.
I have that book. It's still unread. It's on my December TBR. Fingers crossed this book is a Christmassy book, hence why I've left it until December to read. It's been on my TBR for coming up to 3 years now and I still haven't read it. I'm really hoping this December is the time to do so, but I've tried reading it. I've read 30 pages of it and I put it down due to a reading slump, so hopefully I can get to it in December. Fingers crossed.
We then have The Family Holiday by...
I tried reading that one. I didn't vibe with the writing, so I've unhauled it and it's gone out of my life.
Then have my books that have most recently been added to my TBR, and that is The Lonely Fajita by...
Guys, this is so shameful. I started reading this book, I didn't vibe with it, it's gone. I DNF'd it, I unhauled it.
Abigail Mann.
Oh no.
I don't know too much about this one apart from that it's nice and floppy. Then have in the same category a recent book from a recent Come Bookshop for Me video, and that's Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert.
I haven't read this book, but I do still own it, so I'm hoping I can get to it soon. Story of my life.
Same category of recent book haul is Kismet by Luke Trent.
I tried reading this. I sound like a broken record. I tried reading this. I DNF'd it because I was in a slump, but I still do own it. I think. Yeah, I still do own it. I got scared then. I thought I'd unhauled it, but I own it. It's on my bookcase, just out of view.
Next one is The Assistants by Camilla.
This is getting shameful. I haven't read this book. I think there's been one book that I've read in this entire stack so far, and we're almost halfway through the video. Shameful, Rachel. I still do own it. It's just behind me here. I want to read it. I just haven't got around to it yet.
One of Emma's favourite books, so I had to get it, was Writers and Lovers.
I literally can't keep saying this. I tried this book. I got like 40 pages in. Hated the writing style. It put me into a slump. I DNF'd it. I unhauled it. I'm very much one of those people that if I DNF a book and I don't like it, it's rare that I give it another go. And most of the time I unhaul books because I don't see the point in wasting your time on a book that you're not vibing with.
By Lily King, and this is about... Now back onto the random picks. The Gravity of Us by Phil Statmer. I did actually try and read this, but I just wasn't feeling it. Whether I'll come back to it or not, I'm unsure. It could end up in an unhaul pile.
It did end up in an unhaul pile, and it has gone, and it went a good while ago. I forgot I even owned this book. So yeah, another tick in the unhaul.
Without being read, unfortunately. Then we have a book I won in a early giveaway.
I've read that book! I read 40 Love. I enjoyed it, but I've given it to a home that hopefully will love it more. I resent it over to Christy, hopefully that she's read it or she's hoping to read it soon, and if she did, I hope she enjoyed it. But it's been rehomed, so I've unhauled it, but I have read it. I have read it.
And on the other spectrum, we have a Christmas book, 12
Oh.
Days of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss. I picked this up back in December.
I haven't read it, but it's on my December TBR. One, I'm on a mission to read this year because, like I said in the video, I wanted it on my December TBR, but last year, and it didn't happen, and I didn't read it. So hopefully this year is the year I read it.
I'll give it another shot this year, but whether I will fully read it or not, I am uncertain. Then we're going back a few years with these couple of books. The first one is The Manifesto on How to Be Interesting by...
Do I actually read any of my books? No. I've unhauled this one and it's been regifted. I didn't actually read it, so it's an unread unhaul book, but I've rehomed it to one of my friends, so hopefully they will enjoy it, but I just don't care for it anymore. I'm just not a YA reader anymore.
One of my friends was getting rid of some of her books. I took this one off her hands. Have no idea what it's about, but
it's like a third-hand book, second-hand book, third-hand book, yeah, because I got it off a friend second-hand, and then my friend has got it off me third-hand.
Then we also, throwing it way back in
Yep,
the
I know what this one's going to be. Winger by Andrew Smith. I didn't read it, and it's unhauled. Wow,
Winger
this is...
by Andrew Smith. When
wow.
I first came. Then we're coming to the latest books on my TBR. The first one being Beartown by Frederick Bookman. This book,
I've read it. I didn't like it. Not as much as other Frederick Bookman books. And I've unhauled it. So read and unhauled. So better than unhauled and unread. But I still unhauled it.
Then we have After Dark by an author's name I cannot pronounce.
I've read After Dark. And it's still in my possession. Guys, we're going up in this world. We're going up in this world. I enjoyed this book. It got me intrigued from the first page right up to the last page. I don't know exactly what I read because it's very, like, interesting in the fact that you never really know what's going on, but I was intrigued throughout even though I had no clue what was going on, and it's made me excited to read more of the author's work, and I know all the author's books match one another, like in the colour scheme and stuff, so I've kept it because I did enjoy it. I want to read more of their work and then come back to After Dark and reread it and see if I will understand it more, having read other works from him and get the writing style like kind of down to a T and stuff. So this one I've kept, and I've read it. Woohoo!
I have no idea what this one's about, but it's for a certain...
I do know what this book is about now, and it basically is Big Brother-esque, and it takes... you're reading from the perspective of a camera lens, and the camera lens zooms into different parts of a Japanese city at night, at midnight, like onto early morning, and you follow this girl who is sat at a like 24-hour diner who is reading a book, and you also follow her sister who is in a coma, and weird happenings start to happen to her sister who's in a coma, and that's what I didn't really get and I didn't follow along with. I'm not sure if you're meant to be able to follow along to the story or if it's just meant to be this whole like whimsical thing that you don't properly understand even after you finished it. I don't know, but I enjoyed it for some weird reason, so there we have it.
And the last couple of books on my TBR is Invisible Girl by Lisa.
I've read it, I didn't like it, so I unhauled it. Do you see a trend here? I see a trend. I wanted a really like gripping thriller with this book, and it was just a dark contemporary, and I didn't really care for it. I buddy read this book with Leah from Leah Crumpton, I'll link her channel down below, and we both kind of felt the same. I think I gave this like a 2-star, and I unhauled it immediately. I don't often unhaul books immediately. I'm getting better at doing so. Like if I finish a book and I just don't care for it, it'll go straight into an unhaul pile. I'm getting better at doing that, but Invisible Girl was one of the first books I did that with, so it was a big thing for me to be like, that book I just don't care for, it's going straight in the unhaul pile. So it's gone out of my life, and it's been out of my life for a while.
And the last book on my physical TBR, and the one that might stay there for the longest, is A Little Life.
I love that I actually said it's going to stay there the longest, and I read it in June. I did a whole kind of buddy read along with Rhiannon and Chloe, and we hosted like a read along and had loads of people read it with us, and then we had a live show at the end of the month, and we split the book up into like a 2-week kind of sections, and we all read it. I didn't like it. I do still own it, but I keep it as a trophy on my bookcase to be like, yeah, I read that book, but I didn't love it. You all guys know what this book is about, but the main character, Jude, is disabled and he's had a really bad upbringing, and it follows him and his 3 best friends from university all the way up to end of life, basically. And the author, apparently, as far as I'm aware, didn't do any research into the disability that Jude has when writing this book. So I found that out after I read it, and it just really put me off the entire book. I didn't love it to begin with. The writing style is very weird. I never really knew who was talking because it's told in 4 perspectives, and the narrating I found was quite difficult to separate in my mind on who was talking and whose perspective I was reading from every now and again. And it was just such a big book. It didn't need to be like 800 pages, and it didn't do it for me. I don't get the hype of this book, and it's weird because it's a book that I didn't like, but I've kept it for the fact that I can say when people come around being like, oh, Little Life, have you read it? And I'd be like, yeah, fuck, I've read it. I have read it.
Yay. I picked this one up because I know I'm going to absolutely love it, being such a character-driven reader.
The reason I brought it is because I thought I was going to love it and give it like 5 stars, which is why I wanted to read it, even though it was a massive book, because I'm not a massive book person because I don't read fantasy. Most of the books I read are like 350 pages, so it was quite a mission to read like a 800-page book. But I thought I was going to give it like a 5 star. I thought it was going to be like a new favourite book, but it just wasn't the case.
Daunting. It's very, very daunting and intimidating, but I know I'm going to absolutely love it when I do get round to it, but when that is, I don't know. I'm sorry in advance for making you sit on my shelf for years.
It wasn't years, it was months.
So, yeah.
And we're done. And there we have it. That was my physical TBR back in March 2021. Which seems not that bad. I will have a tally on the screen right now of what I've unhauled, what I've not read and unhauled, and what I still own and I've read, etc. I haven't read many of the ones that were on this video, but I've unhauled a lot of them. Like, a lot of them aren't in my possession anymore, which is crazy to think about. But we're going to hop into the second segment of the books that are currently on my physical TBR. I'm not going to talk through these books because some of them obviously will be the same, and I don't want to keep you guys here much longer, and it's a TBR. I don't know what these books are about most of the time, so I'm just going to run through them really, really quickly with you guys. So let's hop into the second segment. The lighting has changed ever so slightly. The days are getting shorter, so the lighting is kind of disappearing. So I'm going to do this quickly, but I've just counted all of my books that are currently physically on my TBR as of December 2021, and it's 36. So I've gone down by 4 books.
It's Thursday, the 9th of December.
I know it's Thursday, the 9th of December. But we've gone down by 4 books, which is not great. But to be fair, my physical TBR now is kind of completely different to what it was back in March, because I've done quite a switcheroo in reading taste and stuff. So without further ado, let's hop into my current physical TBR, and maybe we can review this video next December and see where we're at. That'd be quite fun. The first one that's on my TBR is A Spark of Joy by Jodie Picoult. That's not how you say her name, but I've been wanting to read this book for ages. I found it in a charity shop when I was with Chloe, so I picked it up for cheap. On the same trip with Chloe to the charity shop, I also picked up 9 Perfect Strangers. I felt like this book's going to be a book that I unhaul without reading, but you know, I had to make up like 4 books to get one for free, so there we have it. I have Adulting by Liz Talley, which Christy kindly gifted me. I'm really, really interested in reading it, and I will get to it soon. Deja vu. But I really do hope I get to it soon, and yeah, this one is on my TBR. And then we have The How and the Why by Cynthia Hand, which is about like foster care, which is a topic in books I really, really, really enjoy reading about. Ashley kind of gifted this to me, and I'm very, very excited to get to it, but I just haven't got to it yet, so fingers crossed I can get to it soon. I'm hoping very close into the new year because this book keeps eyeing me up. We have Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. We have The Names We Gave Us by Emery Lord. We have Grown Ups by Marion Keyes. We have The Sad Ghost Club, Girl with a Louding Voice by Abby Dare, Disaster Tourist, The Year After You, Crazy Rich Asians, Last Night at the Telegraph Club, 3 Keys by Kelly Yang, Docile, Ace of Spades, How to Fail, The Christmasaurus and the Naughty List, which is on my December TBR, so hopefully this won't be on my physical TBR for much longer, Summer Assault by Katrina Leno, Weenie by Candice Carty-Williams, The Assistant by Camilla Perry, Kismet by Luke Trengen, Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert, Has Anyone Seen My Sex Life by Kristen Bailey, Summer at the Shell Cottage, which Liam kindly gifted me, by Lucy Diamond, and I'm super, super excited to get to it. Plus, How Floppy? On point. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi, Not Here to Be Liked. This is a book I actually got gifted today, so I don't care that it's just come onto my physical TBR, and that is a book called The 7-Day Switch by Kelly Yarms. It was sent to me by Z, and I love her to pieces. Thank you so much. 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. I actually have my bookmark in it because I started reading it, so fingers crossed guys, we're making progress. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss. Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. That is a tongue twister of a name. Adults by Emma Unsworth, Jane Unsworth even. And The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So those are the 36 books that are currently on my physical TBR as of December 2021. Let's see what it's going to be like December 2022, because who the hell knows? I thought all those books in the video that we just reacted to would have been read, or at least read and unhauled, and my TBR is now completely different, which is so crazy to think about. And on that note, I think that that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up. Comment down below what books are currently on your TBR and what you want to prioritize at the beginning of next year. I would love to know what is like your top priority TBR at the minute, and comment down below if you would like me to react to this video next December in 2022. That would be really, really fun. Subscribe down below to see future content from me. I have so much content coming out in December and early January with end of year content, and I cannot wait to get it out to you guys. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more future content. And without further ado, I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.